Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saturday HOA Brunch, presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. Please sit back, relax, and join Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick for an hour of entertaining information about HOAs and HOA law.
Good morning, Sacramento. It's a Saturday HOA Brunch. Jonathan Broderick in studio. I have a special guest host with us for the day, Mr. Larry Pothast. First, let's get to the weather in Sacramento. It's sprinkling this morning. Freeways are a little wet, so drive safely out there. Like I mentioned before, this is the Saturday HOA Brunch. We focus on community associations. We talk about different industry organizations that you can attend educational luncheons or seminars. We talk about banking, reserve studies, the laws that affect community associations, and we have all kinds of guests that can just give you a wealth of information, hopefully to make association life a little bit easier on yourself. First things first, I'm very excited. We have a partner from Walnut Creek, Mr. John Stander, who's been with the firm Angius&Terry for, since about 2001. So that's almost, I think, 15 years. He might correct me, but he has recovered over $80 million on behalf of his association clients, and he focuses on all general corporate matters affecting community associations. So, John, welcome to the show this morning.
Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, anytime. I'm thrilled that you're calling in. You're calling in from the Bay Area today?
That's right, yeah.
Excellent. And you want to talk a little bit about yourself, maybe the firm down in Walnut Creek, and just introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, well, as you said, I've been with the firm about 15 years, representing HOAs, and I do largely the litigation side, construction defects and stuff like that. And I work out of the Walnut Creek office, and also I do some work in Nevada out of the Las Vegas office. Yeah,
you're barred actually to practice law for community associations in the state of Nevada and California, correct?
Right. That's it.
Awesome. And little accolade here. It looks like you were awarded the AV Preeminent rating by Martindale Hubbell Legal's Directory. Is that like the highest rating that they can give an attorney in the United States?
Yeah, it is. It's a nice recognition because it's a recognition by your peers of the highest ethical standards and professional standards. So.
Excellent. Well, you had some information regarding community association litigation, so this is, the John Stander litigation corner.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a couple minutes of time and talk about construction defects and specifically the statute of limitations regarding construction defects. What a statute of limitations is it's an amount of time that you have to bring your claim. And if you don't bring a claim within the statute, you can't. No matter how good your case is, no matter how much damage you've suffered from, in this case, construction defects, if you miss the statute of limitations, you're out of luck. The judge will just throw your suit right out. So it's very important to look into whether your community has construction defects and act on those before these statutes run.
Yeah, and with this, especially with a harsh winter like this, John, the big El Nino rains and storms, it's the board is actually doing their fiduciary duty by reaching out and having a firm like ours, Angius&Terry LLP, do a thorough inspection to make sure that before the statute of limitations is up, there's nothing that could put the association's assets, which the building's, in jeopardy, right?
That's absolutely right. And, the worst thing that could possibly happen is to not know about it or ignore a problem until it's too late. And then, once it's too late, you've lost your opportunity to get money from the developer or the developer's insurer to pay to remediate the problems. And really the only thing you're left with the only option you're left with is to assess your members to get that money.
Yeah, and
nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of could cause a stink in the community. Actually, our guest Larry has a question for you, John.
Hi, John. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Larry?
I'm good. John, if the board knows that or suspects that there may be some defects and they don't move ahead, even on the advice of an attorney like yourself, do they have any liability for that? If they have the option or an attorney tells them we suspect there's construction defect here and we advise you to move ahead with a lawsuit against the builder or at least negotiate with them, they say, oh, no, we don't want to spend the money to do that. We'll just assess the members if something goes wrong. Do they have any liability for that?
Well, that's a great question. The board members are protected by what's known as the business judgment rule from personal liability. However, the business judgment rule states that they act in the best interest of the association, specifically based upon information obtained from competent experts. So in what you just suggested is they're kind of making a decision in the face of recommendations by experts. So they may not, in that instance, be protected by the business judgment rule.
So if they're substituting their judgment for that of a qualified expert who tells them to do something else, and they don't either trust him or don't get a second opinion, and they just substitute their own judgment for their own reasons for that of their expert, that could land them in some trouble, huh?
That's exactly right. If they disregard the qualified expert and the reasoned opinions of the expert, and they think, for whatever reason their judgment is better, they might not be protected as they would otherwise, and there might be some personal liability there.
Wow, great information. Thanks, John.
Excellent, John. Some great information. Really excited that you called in. Did you have anything else for your little litigation corner spotlight this week?
Yeah, let me just really quickly tell you what the statute of limitations are. It's typically, or with regard to most issues that you're going to face, it's 10 years from the date of substantial completion. But you've got to be careful because there's some other issues. I'm talking about SB 800 here, which is Civil Code 895 and following that in the Civil Code. There's some other issues that have a much smaller, shorter statute of limitations, as low as 1 year. So, for example, your HVAC unit is 1 year. Irrigation drainage system is 1 year. Fit and finish issues, noise problems, and this is something we see a lot. People have problems with noise transmission between units. That's a 1 year one. So, plumbing is 5 years from close of escrow. 4 years. Paint is 5 years. And I won't list them all off. I don't want to bore anybody, but the point I'm making is, even if you're within that 10 years, you might, in fact, you do want to act quickly because there might be a shorter statute with regard to some of the issues you might face.
Excellent. Yeah, that was great, John. We appreciate all of the information. Any exciting plans this weekend? Just hanging out, relaxing?
Just hanging out. My birthday is tomorrow, so we're going to go and celebrate that, and I'll spend that with family. But other than that, nothing too exciting.
Wow, John. Hey, thanks for calling in. Have a great birthday tomorrow, and hopefully I'll see you soon down in Walnut Creek when I go visit the mothership.
Well, again, thanks for having me.
All right. Hey, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Larry Pothast, an expert in the industry, nationally accredited. He's smiling and blushing right now. He paid me to say that. And we're going to go to break right now and thank our sponsors. So we'll be back shortly.
If your community association has a good relationship with their current management company, you can stop listening. However, if you are struggling with your current service provider, we'd love to talk with you to see if Omni Community Management would be a good fit. Transparency, education, communication, and trust are just 4 of the qualities that set Omni apart. This is Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni. Call us at 916-965-8964. That's 916-965-8964. Online at omni-mgt.com. That's omni-mgt.com. Omni Community Management, your friend in the community association management industry for over 20 years.
Have you ever heard of the saying, a person's home is their castle? Of course you have. But sometimes a construction defect can turn your castle into a catastrophe. If this happens to you, you need proper and professional representation. You need Angius&Terry, LLP. For over 30 years, the attorneys at Angius&Terry have been effectively serving homeowners and community associations, recovering more than $500 million on behalf of their clients. Angius&Terry strives to ensure that your construction defect claims are prosecuted in an aggressive and cost-effective manner. Angius&Terry will also continue to work with homeowners and community associations after the construction defect claims are concluded to make sure that the money received from builders is spent wisely and that your interests are protected during the repair process. Don't let a construction defect turn your castle into a catastrophe. Call Angius&Terry LLP today at 916-567-1400. That's 916-567-1400. Online at angius-terry.com. Angius&Terry LLP. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
AM 1380, The Answer.
Welcome back in studio, the beautiful studios here at KTKZ AM 1380, The Answer. And we have our co-host, special guest of the day, Larry Pothast. Larry, you're back. This is your second time on the Saturday HOA Brunch. You're relaxing a little bit more, playing more golf, more poker.
Yeah,
That's right.
playing some more poker again and having a great time doing that, playing a little more golf. And I'm really excited because my old friend Sharon Massingham and I have started a consulting business called the Associate Learning Center. So that's taking a little bit of my time, and we're just very excited about the future of the industry and the future of our company, and it's great to be back. It's nice to see you, Jonathan.
Oh, it's good to see you too. The Association Learning Center, now that's founded, you and Sharon Massingham have founded that, and it's going to be instrumental in hopefully helping to build the sense of community again, right? And help make better board members.
Well, we think, and this is from experience, it's experiential and requests we've gotten and interest that was shown by the marketplace, that board members really need a lot of training. They want more training and different kinds of training than they currently receive. Mm-hmm. And so we're here to fill that need. And at the same time, one of the big challenges facing management companies is growth. And when a management company grows, let's say they've got 150 associations, they're going to put on 7 more or 5 more, and that's not a full portfolio for a manager necessarily. And so they have to find a way to train that manager immediately in the philosophy of association management that their company follows. And so, we're not a replacement or a substitute for CAI's manager training or CACM's manager training. We're more of an adjunct to those training sessions. I've been a faculty member for both CAI and CACM, and the thought is we'll come in as soon as you hire a manager, and we'll take that manager for 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, whatever you want the program to be, and we'll teach them management fundamentals. We'll teach them how to think like managers and act like managers. We'll teach them high-level communication skills. And
this is the board members or the managers?
It's the managers. Those are the managers. And then what we'll do with board members on an annual basis, one of the interesting things that happens, and it happens nationwide in our industry, is that most management companies provide annual training for a homeowner association board members. But interestingly enough, we haven't been teaching them as managers how to be board members. Instead, we'll bring in a landscaper, and we'll bring in a lawyer, and we'll bring in an accountant, and a roofer, and all the professional disciplines that the management company deals with on a regular basis. And we'll teach the board members how to read landscape proposals, and the lawyer will come in and tell them all about the new laws and things like that. And essentially what we're doing is giving them fundamental management training so that the board members have an idea. There's an old philosophy, and it goes way back to the beginning of the...
Before my time, probably.
Oh, yeah, before yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were probably 9, and of course I was present at the creation. I'm that old. But one of the things that's interesting is that we started... As managers, we started training board members because we believe that an educated board is a much more profitable and easier board to manage. And it's true, they are. It's absolutely true. But we strayed away from the differentiation between self-managed boards and professionally managed boards. I thought John Stander's comment earlier in the program about the business judgment rule was right on the money. Because what happens today is a board will hire a professional management company, and then they'll still believe their job is to operate the association rather than having the manager operate the association and taking the manager's advice as their primary professional advisor. And as John said, when a board who, and I don't mean to sound harsh about boards, but essentially they're not skilled, trained, or experienced in the operation of homeowner associations. And that's a very complex area to be in, operating homeowners associations. They've got this manager who's their best professional resource, and they'll ask for the manager's advice, or the manager will wait to be asked rather than just offering the advice. And because the manager's not empowered to just take action, the board will listen to the advice and then argue about it amongst themselves or debate it and substitute probably their judgment for that of their professional manager. And we think that's kind of upside down. The old philosophy used to be, I'll talk later as we go on about why this hasn't been necessarily a positive model for the industry. But the philosophy used to be that the role of the manager is to assist the board in the operation of their community. And that's kind of upside down from how it started. How it started was that the board was to set policy, to set the budget, to adopt the budget recommended by their professional manager. And then the manager would go out and run the association, reporting from time to time to the board about the progress they were making toward the goals inside the parameters that are set by the budget and the policies adopted by the board. And by the way, the manager was always the one who promoted the policies, who came to the board and said, gee, you need a collection policy, you need a rules policy, you need and here are the models that work best. And somehow along the way, we lost the idea that...
Hit a speed bump.
Yeah, we had that self-managed associations need to be educated to operate an association almost like a manager. But in professionally managed associations, they don't really have to do that. They can sit and make decisions as board members, policy decisions, and allow and empower the manager to operate the association essentially autonomously with input or with reporting processes that go to the board at the highest levels. So the board can keep their eye on it and can still provide oversight.
I want to throw these statistics out there because people are going, oh, community associations are tuning in for the first time. How big of an impact does this have across the country and actually internationally? We have approximately, I think it's almost now, I'm going to credit the Community Associations Institute, like 68 million residents that live in community associations.
I think that's according to CAI, the Community Associations Institute's foundation.
Their statistical review, and there's that's a large population or body of people that are affected by this industry and living in these communities that are operated by volunteers.
Well, they
board.
are operated by volunteers, and one of the interesting, I speak across the nation, and it was estimated once by CAI that I had trained more than 20,000 board members nationwide, and sometimes
you remember all their names.
Sometimes I feel like I remember every one of them. But the question I always start my workshops with is, how many of you have a hard time finding volunteers to run for the board? And invariably, every hand in the room goes up. And there are
tough.
reasons for that, and it's a huge industry and its impact is major. A lot of people think that homeowner associations were the idea of some builders who got together and said, well, let's build a bunch of boxes and put people in them. And that wasn't it at all. The history of associations goes back to the Urban Land Institute, a guy named Byron Hankey. And the idea was that there was a flight to the suburbs from the inner city, and so the tax base disappeared or was disappearing for municipalities. And a way had to be found to attract people back to the inner city and to increase the revenue from the tax base. And so if you have a half-acre lot that you're going to build a house on, if you instead build 50 houses in a high-rise condo, you're taxing 50 homes rather than just one, and that raised revenue for the municipalities. And they were also able to delegate the infrastructure maintenance to the associations as well. And that's condos, planned unit developments, the whole ball of wax.
Small little corporations operating on their own. They have elections, they have budgets, they make important decisions to protect the asset. But I know that you've preached this in previous speaking engagements. A lot of people now are losing that sense of community that originally, when they built these master plan communities, you'd tell me stories about, oh my gosh, they'd have tuxedo jazz annual meetings where everyone in the community would come out. You go to an annual meeting now and there's 500 homes and you get 10 people that are concerned with the issues. Everybody else took the agenda or the minutes or the newsletter and said, oh, okay, great, look at this. Let me just toss it in the garbage. But then they get upset when something happens in the community and they go, oh, well, who made this decision?
Right. There's a lot of conversation about, are these governments, many governments, or are they corporations, are they businesses? And, it's kind of a blend of the two, but the pendulum swings back and forth. And right now, it's true that in a lot of associations, the sense of community is missing. If you did a poll of all associations nationwide, you say of people who live there, do you enjoy living in your community association? Do you like living in a homeowners association? Invariably, the answer will be, yeah, we like it here. And the only time people don't like it is if the board is imposing super stringent behavioral standards, super stringent rules and regulations governing the behavior of the members and their guests. It's the old people, pets, and parking thing. I love my association as long as my board leaves me alone. If I never hear from them, I love this place. But if I hear from them, then I'm not so happy about it. In fact, we've lost and one of the things Sharon and I hope we can revive, but we've lost the sense that the board is there to serve the constituency, and so is the manager to serve the constituency and to bring that sense of community. And you're right. I've worked with associations who have their annual meetings, and they have a 5-piece or 7-piece swing band there. They sell tickets to the outer neighborhood. Excuse me. It's free to all the members, but they had a demand for the local neighborhood people. They wanted to come in and have this party with the members, and so they would sell tickets, and the sense of community was just huge.
Great. They took pride in their communities.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Association Learning Center, and you're writing a book.
Yeah.
I understand.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too. We'll be back shortly.
Great.
Having trouble understanding your community association's reserve study? Does your HOA's reserve study seem to be written in a strange language? Hi, I'm Robert Browning, owner of the Browning Reserve Group. At the Browning Reserve Group, we have been providing easy-to-understand reserve studies since 1999. We actually listen to our communities and help them plan for the future. Find us online at browningrg.com. That's browningrg.com, or toll free at 877-708-0600. That's 877-708-0600. Clarity from complexity. The Browning Reserve Group.
If you are a community association or manager, you know your banking relationship is vital to your success. At Sacramento Bank of Commerce, a division of Redding Bank of Commerce, our industry expertise and personal attention make that task a breeze. With our specialized banking, lockbox, online banking, and remote deposit capture, trips to the bank are no longer necessary. And Sacramento Bank of Commerce can help your communities with a loan to repair, replace, or upgrade the investment. For local decisions and in-house processing, get in touch with our team today. Call Sacramento Bank of Commerce at 916-772-0131. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you see the story about the Homeowners Association? I wonder what their residents think.
I don't know, but I love my condominium association. The place looks great and is well managed, and our property values are increasing.
Well, that's a good thing.
Community Associations Institute, CAI, has helped us build a great community. They have tools for safeguarding our investment, including education for our board and professional training for our manager. Just visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
Okay, responsiblecommunities.com.
AM 1380, The Answer.
And there was no picture.
Oh, we're back on, Larry. Sorry, we were having a great conversation. Hey, Frank, thanks a lot for the signal. Got him. All right, so we're talking with Larry Pothast from the Association Learning Center, founder, and he is a nationally accredited speaker. You've been approached to be an expert witness, when it comes to there's issues in community associations.
Yeah. Well, our company provides expert witness services. We provide training services for managers and strategic planning and training services for HOAs, for association boards, and essentially business consulting services to management companies as well, who might want to move they're probably thriving and doing well, but they may want to move to the next level. And Sharon has a
wealth of experience, right?
30 years of experience running Massingham & Associates before she sold it. And, of course, I've been in the business for 40 years or a little longer.
Yeah,
than
when the dinosaurs were still roaming
That's right.
the earth.
Yeah, Mike Packard used to say that my first client was asleep in a manger when I got in the business. So,
jeez. Well, that's a long time ago. So, moving to the speaking engagements and the opportunities for the Association Learning Center to service managers and boards of directors. For example, coming up in February, you've been approached and are going to speak, I believe, at the First Service Residential Northern California Symposium.
Yeah, their Northern California conference. I'm going to be the keynote speaker at that conference. Mm-hmm. Very flattered that I was asked to do it by Julia Plummer, and very excited to go and share some thoughts and ideas about the industry and about trends in the management business with First Service. And I've just been lucky in my career to be able to do things like that. But it's an opportunity for associations and managers to hear ideas and hear methodologies that they may not be exposed to on an ongoing basis. I mean, the growing trend in the management business is the empowerment of managers. So it's a move away from the passive manager, for example, who goes to a board meeting, sits in the chair, takes the minutes, maybe gives a treasurer's report, a financial report, and then waits to be asked questions by the board.
Instead of being an active participant and leading the meeting and leading the discussions, instead, the boards talk amongst themselves about things they may or may not be qualified to talk about, and the manager sits and waits to be asked a question rather than being looked at as the leader. And so there's a trend away from that. A lot of people have heard of the Carver governance model, John Carver's governance model. It's a great governance model for nonprofit associations. Is that PG, right? Pro governance, or what is the Robert's Rules of Order? Is it different?
No, that's different. John Carver's model says...
Elaborate for us.
John Carver's model of governance, and ours is different than this, but it's similar in a lot of ways, is for nonprofit associations and corporations. So the board acts only as a board. They're a policy-making body. They make policies on an annual basis, or they adopt policies recommended by their association executive. And then the manager or the executive is empowered to carry out whatever actions are required to operate within the boundaries and parameters established by the financial position of the association, the budget, and the reserve study, and the governing documents of the association. So the manager isn't going for permission to the board to do routine things. Like if the landscaper's doing a bad job, the manager supervises that landscaper. If they're not doing a good job, manager says, I'm going to hire a new landscaper, and does it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to go to the board and say, well,
and get that authorization.
Gosh, we think the landscaper's not doing a very good job. We'd like to, well, Eddie's been with us for 10 years. And, well, Eddie's doing a bad job right now. And I'm the guy who's supposed to maintain the property. And, the association board members aren't there to operate the associate. They're there to maintain, protect, and enhance the value of the asset. And they are fiduciaries, and they are subject to the business judgment rule. And so they need to get advice from outside experts, from professionals in every aspect of their operation, even if they're experts in the same field. Let's say a landscape designer sits on your board of directors. He's not the association's landscape designer. He can use his personal knowledge to help him make decisions, but he can't advise the board from a professional position about the best landscaping design. He can say, in my personal opinion, I think that roses are a bad idea, but he can't. And that's the business judgment rule that John was talking about. Listen, you look at the manager for every question that comes up at the board, and you say, how do other people solve this problem? And the manager says, well, you need to plant begonias or petunias or whatever you need to plant. And if that's what the manager tells you to do, that's the advice you should accept, because when you substitute your judgment for that of the professionals, you may be violating the business judgment rule. And why would you want to do that much work anyway? The reason it's hard for most boards to find volunteers to serve on them is because it's so much work.
Yeah, and it's a volunteer position.
Absolutely.
And you can feel the wrath of the community when you have to enforce your rules.
I went to my association meeting a couple months ago. I try to not do that. But
yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it lasted for almost 3.5 hours, and that's because it's not being run in a professional way. It was, but then a couple of renegade board members got elected, and
they're out there, huh?
They want to run the association, and so it's not just the manager coming to report the progress of the association and maintaining the value of the assets. Instead, it's board members trying to offer proposals and policy changes that are, maybe they're great policy changes, maybe they're not, but they're using the board meeting as a way to operate the association rather than getting the reports from the professionals that they've hired. And if they don't like that they pay for their professional advice, and if they don't like that advice, then they can get a second opinion. Or they can meet with the manager privately and say, or the management company, and say, listen, we're having some concerns. We don't know if we trust the advice we're getting, and then allow the management company to address it. But when they start, I was at a meeting about 6 months ago. Some people were going to put a new roof on, and they had bids from 3 roofers that were put together by an architect. And the architect delivered a report about which roofing company he thought they should hire. It turned out it was not the most expensive. It was the middle
right.
bid. The board members, and they have a professional manager, but the board members met at the board meeting, and the manager had recommended that same roofing company. And rather than saying, so moved, seconded, let's go, they sat there and they debated the roofing specifications, and none of them was a roofer. None of them went to the Built Up Roofing Institute, and they debated the roofing specifications, the quality of the work of the roofing companies, even though none of them had ever employed one of these roofing contractors.
How many of them can actually use a hammer?
Well, that's the point. They're well-intended, but that's not their job. Their job is to listen to the advice of the experts, take it. If the experts make a mistake, they have recourse. And managers are all reluctant to give advice like that. Say, hire company B. And the reason for that is in the early days, they thought there was liability in doing that. Well, I'm not signing that contract on behalf of the associate. They'll sue me if the contractor goes bad. And it's just not the case. They can put a caveat in every one of the management agreements that empowers them to do that with the caveat that, past performance and current performance of a contractor is not a guarantee of future performance. While we've had a good experience with this contractor in the past, they've done a good job. We are not warranting or guaranteeing their work on an ongoing basis. And it's simple as that. If stockbrokers do it, why can't managers do it?
It seems like maybe they're moving like turtles in a 3.5-hour board meeting. I understand there might be some different complex issues, but there should never be a 3-hour board meeting. In your opinion, would you agree?
Absolutely, and I've been to some that are even longer than that. The idea is that you can get most of the business done in an hour and a half every other month if you're allowing and empowering your manager to manage, and then just listening to the reports or reading the reports at the meetings, and then making any motions and debating and passing or not passing motions recommended by the manager. And you're going to be hard-pressed to not pass those motions because he's your paid professional or she's your paid professional. If she recommends that you do something, that you create or pass a motion or create a policy, and you substitute your judgment for the manager's, well, you heard John Stander say just a few minutes ago, that can get a board in trouble. If a professional says do X and you say, I don't like X, we're going to do Y instead, without additional information from an additional professional, that can cause you some problems.
Put yourself in jeopardy.
Absolutely. So we're excited to bring this concept
back.
Well, it's not Carver. It's not Carver governance, because Carver governance doesn't take into account the idea of equity membership nonprofits. And every association is an equity membership nonprofit. So it's a little bit different twist. But we think that associations should go away every year, do a little planning, set the parameters for what they want to...
Have some goals.
Have some goals. Set the parameters financially for what they want to accomplish in the coming year. Turn to the manager who's part of that planning process and say, here's the list. Go do this. Report to us how it's going. And if there are bumps along the way, we expect you to solve those problems, to make the decisions necessary to smoothly operate our association, to maintain, protect, and enhance the value of the members. And you report your progress to us on that, and we'll make a judgment about your performance based on that.
Now, how often, as of recently, do you ever see a community association sending out a newsletter that says, let's celebrate the success that our community has had throughout the previous year because we achieved our goals, our reserves are funded, you never see that.
We don't see that very often, and I'm not surprised we don't see it very often. It's one of the things we help coach associations to do and managers to do. It's so important not to send out a communication that's a negative communication. The rules reminder of the month. It's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's make sure your dog is on a leash. Or,
Well, and your garbage cans, how long they can be set out by the curb, what kind of lid they're, and they'll have a little cartoon photo of a garbage can. And, association newsletters, like any other publication, should be about the people who live in the community and how they enjoy the community.
A positive perspective.
I don't know. It's hard for me. And when I had my management company, we would do newsletters for associations or help them do them. And every month we'd feature a board member. And we'd tell the story of the board member and why they're serving and how they're enjoying their board service. And, years and years ago, I created a seminar for CAI called the 1 Hour Board Meeting. It was first done in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And I've given it hundreds of times over the years, over the last 30 years, and other people have given it. They don't use my material. I kind of wish they would, but it's teaching board members how to have a streamlined and effective association board meeting without all the work that they've done before.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to go to break so that we can thank our sponsors. Please use some of our different sponsors of the program. When we come back, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to talk about your book. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and/or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
The challenges presented by today's economy and rebounding housing market is forcing many homeowners association boards of directors to operate their HOAs more like a business. It's a balancing act of trying to stay solvent and still provide homeowners with quality amenities and services. One of the main challenges HOA boards are facing is attempting to recover unpaid HOA fees owed by delinquent homeowners. Collection efforts are often very time-consuming. If you want to get the HOA fees collection monkey off of your back, call ATC Assessment Collection Group. ATC is an attorney-supervised collection company, providing collection and foreclosure services to HOAs in both California and Nevada's most recognizable communities. Get back to what you actually volunteered to do as an HOA board member. Effectively oversee your community. Call ATC today at 916-641-1410. That's 916-641-1410. Online at atcacg.com. That's atcacg.com. ATC Assessment Collection Group. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
This is AM 1380, The Answer.
Hey, we're back for the fourth quarter. I'm excited. It's AFC and NFC Championship football weekend, but we still have a little bit more business left to take care of here. I was just scrolling. I was going to the CAI website, and I had a fun fact I wanted to share. Everybody likes to hear big numbers and what's associated with them. 1.6 billion, right? 1.6 billion is the estimated value of time provided by homeowner, board, and committee members based on of labor statistics estimate, right? So it's like $22 an hour.
Oh, and I believe that, because the majority of associations in America are not professionally managed. They're run totally by volunteers. So I think that's not an unbelievable number at all.
Wow, that's crazy. And there's 78 million hours of service, volunteer service.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I'll never come close to that.
And the whole point of it is to keep the grass green, the siding painted, the roof from leaking. I mean, it's a lot of work to do it if you're not hiring a professional to do it for you.
And if you have a professional that could do it for you, maybe those volunteer hours will be cut down.
They'll shrink tremendously. Instead of 40 or 50 hours a month, maybe you'll be only doing it for 10 or 12 hours a month, which makes a huge difference when you change. I wanted to talk about, you mentioned my book a couple of times.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The book is titled Serving on the Board, Effectively Running a Homeowners Association. And about, I guess 30 years ago, or gosh, maybe a little longer, 35 years ago, Liz Jaskey and Nora Jaskey from NN Jaskey in San Diego and I made a videotape. It was the first professionally made training video.
So like the mid 80s.
Yeah.
It was in color.
Sounds
That's great.
It sounds like Middle Earth when you say it. All right.
All right.
But it was a training video for board members, and it was called Serving on the Board. And we sold thousands of them.
Maybe we should burn some DVDs now.
Oh, I don't think so. I had a full head of hair, a mustache. I mean, I weighed about 155 pounds. Well, I'm not saying I weigh 300 pounds now, but the book should be ready this spring, and it's going to be about this transformative board service model that we're creating, and how to successfully and effectively serve on a board without burning yourself and all your neighbors out, and how to run it according to the business judgment rule and using the advice of experts rather than trying to reinvent the wheel every time a problem comes up. In a couple of weeks, I think it's...
Are you talking CACM
the
seminar?
CACM,
Yeah. The 11th and 12th of February down in Oakland.
Down
Great
in
event.
Oakland, right. I'll be there. You'll probably be there.
Yeah, I'll be down there kicking some
leading
tires,
managers from across the state will be there, and we share ideas and information, and I'm going to try and talk to every single person I can about this new board service model and the new manager model, and you can't teach the managers to do it without teaching the board members to do it. You can't expect managers to be empowered under the current model because boards aren't used to it. They're not accepting it. And I'm so excited to talk about the board. I'm so excited to talk about managers and this new transformative model of manager empowerment. And I can be reached, and people can call me.
Yeah, how do they get a hold of Larry Pothast in the Association Learning Center?
You can call us at 916-715-6076.
Yeah.
916-715-6076. I'd like to say we have a website, but we're brand new. We don't have our website up and running.
Yeah, you guys have got all these things, and I'm sure is the book's going to be available eventually via the World Wide Web, or you're going to be selling it online?
It'll probably be available via Kindle. It'll be available on through Apple. It'll be available everywhere online, and we'll also be selling it wherever we go to speak. I do a lot of speaking for the trade associations, CAI chapters, and other places, and it'll just be available. And we're very excited about the opportunity to work with people. We're already doing some expert witness work, and we're doing some HOA training. We've been hired to do some stuff, and it just keeps growing. We're looking forward to the opportunity to help as many people as we possibly can.
Well, you keep coming back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're sure. I'm going to retire, and I think I'm just going to reside up here in the foothills, play a little golf, and then boom, here's Larry. Shows up. Oh, I'm writing a book. Sharon Massingham and I are starting a new company to hopefully improve some of the trends that have been occurring in our industry. And you guys are really going to focus on doing this. You've traveled the country, but just in California, Northern and Southern California is your emphasis.
We're going to focus initially in Northern and Southern California. And so we're it's funny how I feel like Al Pacino in The Godfather. Every time I think I'm getting out, they drag me back in. I had left Associa. As you know, I used to be the vice president for board and manager training for Associa.
So you have some experience in regards to what you've discussed today. That's good.
And I decided to retire again, and I left the organization in late September. And a couple of weeks later, I'm driving in my car with my wife, and I get a call from Sharon Massingham, who's an old friend, and she said, "Gee, I'd like some advice on how to get into because you've done the consulting thing." And I said, "Yeah." She says, "I'd like some advice on how to get into that." And I thought, boy, that sounds great. And I said, "Well, how would you like to do it together?" And she said, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it." And the kernel for this idea grew from that telephone conversation. And we're very excited to provide this service.
Wow, that's great, Larry. It's always fun to have you in studio. We'll have you back again soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we're excited to have Brad Epstein back next week. He's taking care of some business. Have fun.